Hey y'all, it's Ari and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to it. I don't know why that's been my intro recently. That is literally not what I be saying, but we're just gonna flow with it again.
And who are you? I'm Chuck Bass.
Today, we're going to be talking about toxic relationships. And I'm actually going to sit down and do my makeup. We're just going to like chill and like just talk for a minute, okay? Because people have been asking me for makeup videos and I'm like, I know they're coming, but it's like, you guys know me, I'm not a tutorial kind of gal. I just like to sit and talk to the camera, and I was like, what can I talk about? And I was like, you know what? Toxic relationships is a good one. I was thinking about a toxic relationship that I had been in a couple days ago, and I was like, I should talk about this on my YouTube channel. So here we are. So I'm gonna do my makeup. I actually have no idea what direction I'm taking it in, so we're just gonna take this journey together. I'm not wearing any makeup right now besides some really poorly done brows that I just threw on this morning so that I just didn't look completely bald-faced. But I'm just gonna clean those up off camera, and then we're gonna get into this relationship talk. We're gonna run it about relationships. We're gonna get to this toxic testimonial, okay? Because you know what? I have a little story time because I was in a toxic relationship or two in my day, and you know, it's gonna help us add context to what I'm talking about. So let me clean up my brows and I'll be right back. I look so crazy. Okay, I think the first thing I want to talk about is you, because a toxic relationship, as much as we want to blame the person that's being the most toxic, if you allow yourself to be in a toxic relationship for a certain amount of time, it's your fault too. And I just need to start with that because anybody who doesn't like what I just said can click off this video because you're not going to like anything else I have to say. You are part of the problem. If you're in a toxic relationship, you are part of the issue, okay? You need to make sure that you have yourself together, okay? You can't be trying to figure out who you are while you're trying to learn a new person. And that's the biggest point. And I know everybody says this, but it's very true. You cannot love someone else until you love yourself. And anyone who believes anything differently is making stuff up, because you can only love someone else as much as you love yourself. So if you don't love yourself, if you still have all these issues, it's not going to work out. When you're looking for validation in other people, it's hard to let them go because once they go, that validation that they gave you or whatever it was that you needed from them is going to go with it. So it's important to not need anything from anybody. Once you love yourself, you're self-sufficient and you don't need anybody else. They're just an added value. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting into here? Okay, sorry y'all. I just tried to cut my own crease and I did really bad and I messed it up several times. And this is the best that it's getting, so we're just gonna go with it. I'm gonna just say it now. If you're one of those people in relationships that just starts mess, you just want to argue with your partner, you're toxic, you're toxic, you're toxic. And if your partner's always trying to start something with you, they're toxic. But that brings me to my first story, because I was in a relationship almost 4 years ago now. And you guys, this man he wasn't even a man. I don't even know why I said that. This boy, he was just so sensitive. And he would start mess about every little thing, but he wouldn't start it with me directly. He would go on Snapchat and like start subtweeting on Snapchat with the black screen. Like, first of all, anybody who posts a black screen anything on Snapchat is a child. Period. I just need to say that right now. You are a child. But anyone who subtweets you is a child, and that is a big red flag. If a person cannot hit you up directly when they have an issue, don't waste your time, sis. Don't waste your time, bro, because they have issues. They're not mature enough to have a real conversation. That's toxic. But my little toxic tail back then was going right back at it with the Snapchat. But we was always fighting about stupid stuff and then it was always on Snapchat, like for everyone else to see. But it was just like, okay, you're obviously beefing and we are both knowing that these snaps are for each other, because as soon as we see you on our list, we delete it. Like, looking back, I'm just like, Ariana, what were you gaining from any of that? The answer is nothing. But it's one of those things. If you feel like you can't confront somebody when you have an issue with them, you're not ready for a relationship. Somebody somewhere, even in a friendship, is going to do something that you don't approve of. And if you don't have the testicular fortitude to say something and speak up, you're just not ready. There's a lot of things that I could say, but I can only speak on my own experiences. So the next thing I'm going to say is probably going to hit home.
Some of y'all about to be real mad at me, but it must be said.
Anybody who's constantly playing the victim in situations that they create is toxic. Not only toxic, but immature and completely challenged in the mind, okay? Because back to the same guy, let's have a name for him. Let's call him Jeremy, okay? Jeremy and I were in this really crazy toxic relationship. Everybody in my life was telling me, like, sis, he's not it. Like, no. If multiple people close to you that you love are kind of telling you like, no, I don't, something's off, just listen. At least entertain the idea, because I could have put myself in a really bad position if I would have kept going on with this Jeremy person, because he was a circus act, okay?
Oh, hell no!
But I was blind, and him and I were always getting these dumb fights, and we were in a long distance relationship. Let me add that. I've actually only ever been in long distance relationships. You know, I've had situationships in my own city, but that don't really count to me. If I didn't call you my boyfriend, you don't count. And if you're watching this and we had our time together, I love you. But you don't count, period. But if it starts to become a pattern, and this person just continually starts stuff and then tries to blame you, cut them loose, because you don't need that. And that person is going to try to trick you into believing that that's what you need. Now, Jeremy was a wannabe street guy, okay? I'm just going to say this. I know people are going to be like, Ariana, what were you doing talking to somebody who was trying to be in the streets? Girl, I don't know. But he didn't know anything about the streets. And he also was so sensitive. Like I said this before, but when a person is oversensitive, you have to be an empath to deal with people like that. And I've never been an empath. But it's also like, why are you so butthurt right now? And so he would get butthurt about the smallest things and start these big arguments with me. And then be like, see, this is your fault and all this stuff. Like, to the point until I had to apologize. Like, what am I apologizing for? The answer is nothing. Your feelings got hurt over something so stupid. And then you try to blame me, and then my stupid clown ass goes along with it. Like, what? No ma'am, no sir, no way, Jose. And let me say this too, because this relates to the same relationship with Jeremy. So somewhere along the line, before Jeremy and I were ever like official, he told me that he met this girl. Okay, and let me just say this right now, ladies. If a dude that you like or a dude you talk to brings up another girl, and this is like for guys too, if a girl or whoever you're talking to brings up another person, just let it go. Just be like, okay, it's not for me. But he told me he met this cool girl. He's like, yeah, she's cool, you know, whatever, but we're just friends and whatever. First red flag. He brings up another person to you and then follows it up with, but we're just friends. I'm not gonna say that it's a bad situation every time, but like, if you thought you two were going somewhere and then he talks about somebody else, no. No, that should have been the first sign that this whole relationship was going left, because this was even after we were going through all the stupid arguments and fighting and him playing the victim. He brings up this girl, and then slowly but surely we're talking later and later at night because he's hanging out with this girl, he's meeting her family and stuff. Yo, I'm still sticking around. I still think this is a friend. I'm tripping. Next thing I know, he's like, yeah, I really like her, so I think I'm gonna date her. And he was like, but I really like you, and I think that we should like stay friends. So that's what we did. But if a guy ever comes to me and talks to me and he's like, oh yeah, so there's this girl, go be with her. There's no bad blood between us and we can still be friends, like we can still kick it, but I don't like you like that anymore. Cause don't mention another female to me. The whole thing I'm trying to say is just, I should have known something was off when he started talking to this girl. And you know, whenever he told me he liked her and we stayed friends, that was all cool. And so this continued on. And like I said, we were long distance. So by the time I finally made it down there to where he was at, I went to this conference and I saw him there and like we were chilling. It was cool. His best friend and my best friend were also friends. So like the four of us were always, you know, kicking it or whatever. But then, you know, those feelings tried to pop back up after we saw each other in person. And it was like, I was like, dang, like I'm caught up, period, because I'm not supposed to like him. He has a whole girlfriend, so this is a mess. But then he said the same thing. He was like, I like you too, like I'm salty. So then he says, I'm gonna break up with her. Notice how he said I will and not I did. You guys, the story gets worse because I believe him. And so I'm just over here looking like Pennywise's daughter, waiting for this boy to break up with this girl. The whole time, he's just having his cake and eating it too. Like, he's having her cake and eating mine. Period. Because at the end of the day, like, now you got me calling you my boyfriend and you're calling me your girlfriend, but you still have this girl over here that you're dating in real life. Like, that's messed up. And I'm like, not me being the other woman. And still through all this, like, my friends and my family are just like, Ariana, like, I don't like him. And I'm like, well, you don't have to like him because he's my boyfriend. The whole relationship was just extremely childish. And, like, his girlfriend even, like, threatened to fight me and all this stuff. Like, when you get in a situation with someone and they have people in their life who are messy like that, to say some mess like that, you just know that you already done messed up. Because first of all, who are you? That's what I keep saying, is like, I just didn't know my worth. I didn't know that I mattered yet. Because me now could never. If I get a glimpse that you might be crazy, I'm done with you. Because see, this boy was crazy. He was crazy, y'all. He would like cry and do all this stuff, like try to make me feel bad. But I'm like, yo, you have 2 girlfriends. Like, and I just kept telling myself, like, oh, he's gonna break up with her soon. Like, I'm fine. Like, it's all good. But I was literally kidding myself. I just wanted it to work. And if all you care about is making it work, that means it's not working. And so you need to reevaluate the relationship. Because if something's already working, then you don't need to keep saying, I want it to work so bad, I want it to work so bad. You're just gonna live in the moment because it's already working. Like, I was boo-boo. I was boo-boo the fool. When I needed to be Casper the Friendly Ghost. I needed to ghost him, period. But I chose another route. And, you know, it was what it was. It could have all been avoided had I cared about my general well-being. But it's obvious to me now, at that time, I just did not. Funny story, y'all. This Jeremy character was lurking on my Instagram a couple days ago, because basically what ended up happening is that his girlfriend threatened to fight me, and then she blocked me off of all his social medias, and she blocked my number without him knowing. And so she did that, and I never heard from him again. And it was fine because we already basically fell off. But I guess he ended up getting a hold of her, of finding it out, because finally, after years later, he was lurking on my Instagram the other day on my story. And so I went on his Instagram just to, you know, see, you know, because ever since I saw his name, I was like, I'm sorry, I just need to see, because it's been years. What is he doing on his Instagram story, y'all? Still posting black screens and subtweeting people. Crazy, right? It's just like, it's been 4 years and you haven't grown up once. Like, imagine if we didn't break up. I can't even get the sentence out. Imagine if we literally did not break up. Like, ugh. That is such a disappointment. For it to be 4 years later and you're still doing the same stuff. That's embarrassing, boo-boo. I look good, period. I can't remember whatever I just said before this. There's like 20 minutes in between the last thing I said and right now. But to this day, I don't think Jeremy's a bad person. Jeremy pulled me through the ringer, okay? He did. He took me through it, but I willingly went, first of all, and I need to reiterate that too. Like, you have to be accountable. You have to understand that sometimes you're a part of the problem. Actually not sometimes, every time. Because if there's a problem to begin with and then you do nothing about it, that's on you. It's just like, okay, but did you even try to even ask yourself if there's anything that you could have done differently? Or are you just gonna point the fingers? Anytime you feel like you might be in a toxic situation, or you feel like something's not going the way you had hoped or planned, you need to check yourself. If somebody is mistreating you buku times in a row, you need to ask yourself why you're still allowing them to do it. Because a person who knows their worth and who knows who they are is not going to take mess from anybody. Like, because you just don't need that. Well, you don't need anything from anybody. People have to treat you with respect, or they don't have to treat you to anything. Period. Because in my life, I know what I deserve. I know what I need, which is nothing from anybody else. So if I feel like a person is not meeting the standards, they're just not there, it's going to take nothing for me to just, adios, amigo. You got to go right this second. And it's nothing against the person. I think a real sign of maturity, especially in a relationship, is when you can understand that a person is not for you, or a person is just not matching up, without bashing them and feeling like they're the worst person ever and blaming it on who they are as a person, because that's not always the case. There are some people out there who just don't change. Like I said, Jeremy, 4 years later, is still doing the same thing. Like, maybe maybe that is who you are, and that's fine, because I don't have to have anything to do with you if I don't want to. Like, I think that's another thing that people commonly don't get, is like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Ever. That is one of the biggest misconceptions. People feel like, oh, they made me do this, they made me. No, sweetie boo boo, you chose to do it. And that's why I shared the part about me willingly going along with everything that this Jeremy character wanted me to do, because at the end of the day, sweetie, you didn't have to do any of that. And half of the stuff I didn't even want to do. Like, yes, I was delusional, but there was some stuff that I wasn't an idiot. Like, there was some stuff that I was like, okay, that's stupid. Yet I did it anyway, because I thought it would make him happy, or I thought, you know, it would keep us on good terms. Because like I said, he was always starting stuff, and I just didn't want to hear it. That's not good. Let me do a quick little reiteration, just so that I can get my thoughts together. If you feel like you're not being treated properly, you have 2 options. Leave, or deal with it and don't complain. You become a victim and you play the victim when you complain about things that you can fix. It's just important that you watch out, look out for yourself, and listen to the people that love you. I know it's hard sometimes. I know they don't always say what you want to hear, but a lot of times they know what they're talking about. I have first-hand experience from this. Some people that I really love actually helped me to see that this Jeremy person was not, I didn't need him. People who spoke to my parents and told my parents like he's not it, and I would just not believe it from my parents, but I love these people and they love me so much. I knew they took the time out to talk to me about this Jeremy kid. He must not be it. Sometimes it just takes talking to the right person. I know a lot of stuff that your parents say goes in one ear and out the other, especially as a teenager. You just feel like they don't know you, they can't relate. Because I had my best friend telling me, Ariana, no, like not him, please. But at the end of the day, like, it didn't matter until I heard it from somebody who I really knew that they cared. And not to say that those other people who were telling me didn't care. It's just, I mean, you know how it is when you're a teenager. You just have those certain people that you just listen. You tap in as soon as they start talking. And you need to have people like that in your life, regardless of what age you're at. Because we've all been blind to stuff before. It's the lack of understanding. It's the lack of listening for me, because I didn't have to go through over half of the stuff I went through with this Jeremy person if I would have just listened. But not me pulling a Helen Keller. With that being said, just don't get caught up behind these girls, behind these boys, behind these people. Don't get caught up behind anybody, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's not worth it. It's not worth your peace of mind. It's not worth dealing with stuff you don't have to deal with. Because at the end of the day, like, I only have time for what's for me and what pushes me towards my purpose and my passions and my goals and the things that I want to accomplish. Long story short, focus on yourself. Worry about you, and don't put up with things that you shouldn't have to, because it becomes toxic on both ends. If someone's being toxic towards you and you do nothing about it, you're just as toxic, because you're not even helping that person grow by telling them what they're doing. You're just sitting in it and suffering. It's not okay. Don't do it. Let me get off of here. I'm gonna talk to y'all. If you're still watching this, I want you to know that I love you and you're worth it, and you don't have to put up with anything you don't want to. I believe in you. Whatever is holding you back, whatever is keeping you down, I promise you can break free from it. I know it feels hard, but I promise that you can do it. All you have to do is focus on yourself and align yourself with your purpose, and you'll be okay. I love you. I said that already, but I'm gonna say it again. And I'll catch you in the next video.
Feels better, it feels better.